Hello everyone! In this tutorial series, we are going to walk through the complete process of exporting a design from Figma and importing it to Flowmo. Then we will publish it as a WordPress website with our visual editor directly from Flowmo. This way, you can still design in Flowmo and update your WordPress website in one click. We will cover the initial Figma setup, creating interactions, and building functional elements like a collapsible FAQ section and forms. Finally, we'll connect everything to editable WordPress fields so you can manage your content easily once the site is live. Before we jump into Flowmo, there are a few best practices in Figma to prevent future issues. First, let's talk about layout. For a site to be responsive, elements need to relate to one another. In Figma, this is auto layout. For example, if I take a button, which is currently just a simple group, and change the text, the button doesn't resize. By clicking the Auto Layout button on the right bar, it becomes an auto layout, and the rectangle is now the background of the new layout frame. Now, when I edit the text, the button expands automatically. The background rectangle with the solid color was removed, and now the fill color is on the auto layout element itself. We can also use Suggest Auto Layout. Select all free elements of a section or the section itself, then right-click, More Layout Options, and click Suggest Auto Layout. Next, let's resolve potential masking issues. In a live site, we don't want complex masks to remain as editable layers. We simply rename the layer with #image prefix. Flowmo will then recognize this and flatten it into a single image asset. We'll do the same for the logo. We want it to be a clean SVG vector. By adding the #vector prefix to the layer name, Flowmo will treat it as a single vector entity rather than separate layers. This keeps the code clean and the asset scalable. One limitation to keep in mind, HTML and Flowmo don't natively support gradients on strokes. To fix this, we can either remove the gradient or convert the stroke into a shape. Right-click the stroke, click Frame Selection. Now let's set the gradient as a style. We'll also adjust the height of the new frame and add the gradient to it. Then we can copy this new frame and use Paste to Replace on top of the second stroke. Now let's move into Flowmo. I'll start a new design. If it's your first time, a setup screen will appear. Open the Figma plugin.
Click the Authentication button to connect your account.
Once connected, go back to Figma, right-click your parent frame, go to Copy Paste As, and select Copy Link to Selection. Now go back to Flowmo and paste it in the input and hit Load File. Once loaded, the selected frame will show automatically in the Selected Frame dropdown. However, you can change a different page or frame if you changed your mind. Next, click Import. Once imported, we can use the Make Responsive AI tool. The AI analyzes the layers and automatically builds a responsive structure. We also need to set as page so it's ready for WordPress export. If you notice any missing assets, like this image that didn't come through, simply go back to Figma, copy it as a PNG from Figma, go back to Flowmo while old image selected, right-click and click Paste to Replace. Repeat the process for any vectors or logos that look off. Go back to Figma and click Copy as SVG in Figma, and then in Flowmo use Paste to Replace. For images, ensure the fill setting is correctly centered so the scaling looks natural across different screen sizes. Let's check the responsiveness. We'll click the play button of our newly imported page. As you can see, the mobile version needs some adjustments. We'll click the top plus sign to add a mobile breakpoint. Now we can modify the mobile view independently, for example, hiding the desktop menu and adjusting the spacing to make the layout feel more natural for smaller screens. After a few minutes of work, your vision is responsive. Before we start animating, it's a good habit to create a restore point. Flowmo saves automatically, but by clicking the logo button on the top left and going to Add a Backup, we can create a named backup like Before Animations. This allows us to jump back if we run into any bugs. As a side note, if you need more screen estate, you can go to full screen mode. When selecting an element, a floating bar will appear above the selected element with all the tools and options from the right sidebar. We want the header to stay at the top while scrolling, so we'll go to the position icon and set it to sticky, ensuring the Z index is high enough to stay above other elements. Now for the fun part, interactions. Instead of doing it manually, let's use the Smart AI Assistant. We'll select the whole page and ask it to add interactions to everything. As you can see, the page now feels much more dynamic as we scroll. Let's check our FAQ section. The collapsible rows work, but the plus icon is rotating 180 degrees instead of the 45 degrees we want. To fix this, select the icon layer with the interaction on it, go to the right bar, click on the interaction settings, and change the rotation value from 180 to 45. Now the animation looks perfect. For the contact form, we need to tell Flowmo where to send the data. Go to the form interaction settings in the right bar, enable basic validation, and enter your destination email. We can also set a redirect to a thank you or error page that can be configured later in WordPress. To make the site editable in WordPress, we go to Plugins, then CMS. After we open it, make sure to turn on the visual editor. For repeating sections like the FAQ, we don't want to export 8 static collapsible items. Instead, select one and click the plus icon. Use the Mark Repeater. This tells WordPress that this is a dynamic repeating element. This enables us the possibility to add or remove items like this directly in WordPress. One critical step, WordPress needs to recognize buttons as links. Let's choose a button, for example, and add a placeholder link. This ensures the field will be automatically labeled as a link and will be editable in the CMS.
Now we'll automatically connect the page by selecting the page element, then we'll click Auto Connect. This will automatically connect all fields, including text, images, links, and repeating elements that were marked like the FAQ repeater. It will also add elements to the Ignore list. Ignore list is a list of elements that are just placeholders for design purposes and will not be included once we publish our WordPress website. In this example, other collapsible items that are not the repeating item are automatically added to the Ignore list, so they won't be exported.
Now we'll connect the header to the actual WordPress menu. First, let's make sure the menu elements are not connected as fields to the page. If so, we will delete the connections.
Now, select the first item of the menu and click Add Menu. Just like buttons, we need to make sure to mark this as a link. For any static elements that are not meant to be exported, like the rest of the menu items, use the Ignore feature. Select them and head to the Ignore tab and click the button. You can always add a new field manually. Select the plus icon over the floating bar. There are a lot of options there, but we'll take it easy for now and just select Add Field. Let's name it Subheader, and make sure it's connected to the page collection and not to the inner FAQ repeater collection. You can set the field type to be anything else, but for now, we'll keep using text field. We're ready to publish. The first click creates a staging link for previewing. It's important to check the staging link to see how the website will look once live. After the first staging publish is done, we can continue to the WordPress publish. In the Publish menu, make sure the project type is set to WordPress, then click the Publish button. The first publish is a bit longer and can take up to 1 minute. This process first creates a WordPress server and credentials, then it generates the theme files and uploads them. Now, if you go to your site, you can see a step-by-step guide for setting up WordPress. Let's go back to Flowmo. Open the admin by clicking the 3 dots menu next to the URL of the production website. Then copy-paste your credentials to log in to WordPress. In WordPress, create a new page and select the Flowmo template. You can name it Home. Once you hit Publish, you'll see all the fields we created. For the best experience, use the Open Visual Editor. Now you can click on any text or image to change it directly on the page. We can also manage our FAQ items by clicking it, then clicking Add New Row. To add links to your menu, simply go to Menus and make sure you're on the Header menu and just add the new pages. To finish up, go to WordPress settings and set the page we created as the static homepage. Don't forget the general settings to set your SEO site title, description, and social share image. Your site is now fully functional, animated, and easy to manage.